Hey, good morning. It's Doug Smith. It's Saturday Sit Down. This is for the agents. I reviewed the question over the past week. Just maybe this will help out a little. Trying to make it short to the point so you can watch it and maybe get some answers on questions. So over the last week, I had a question about Supra. Their e-key had issues on your Supra e-key app. If you explore it, there'll be a phone number you can call and get any answers about Supra. I would just not have them. So again, if you have issues about MLS and a violation, you need to call Collin County Association of Realtors, ask for the MLS department. If you have a Supra issue, you need to call Supra. YouTube has a Supra, how to find Supra on Google. Their customer service numbers on Google. There's videos on Supra on YouTube. So just got to know who to call. And if you don't know the number, then Google it. Who fills in the executed date on page 9 above the signature page? Well, perfect world, it's going to be the agent whose client made the last initials that made the contract, basically a contract from an offer. But it's just going to be social skills, soft skills. If you forgot to date it and it's back in the seller's court and you're with the buyer and your buyer was the last one to initial and now it was an accepted offer, just text the agent and say, hey, I forgot to date page 9. Do you want to do it or do you want me to do it? And just somebody's going to do it. You're not in trouble if you do it, and there's not going to be an agent that says, oh, you weren't the one that was supposed to date it. Just somebody needs to date it the day the contract's accepted, because that's always day 0. If you have to print that single page and date it, then friggin' do it. If just, act like you're a Marine, figure it out. Marines can do anything. So just remember that you've got to get it dated the day that there's been no changes and everybody's initialed off on those changes. That's the day the offer becomes a contract, and then it's communicated. That date has to be there. It's day 0. Some agents asked about the referral form. It's on Back Agent. You go to Back Agent and you hit Office at the top, and then you hit Documents, and then you hit Quick Resources or Quick Links, and you scroll through and you'll see the DHS referral form. On that referral form, the receiving office is whoever's getting the contact to work, and the referring office is the one sending the contact or the client. Okay, so the receiving is getting, and the referring is giving the client away in order to get a referral amount. And generally speaking, a referral amount is anywhere from 20 to 30%. You're going to put that on page 2. Mark 30%, it's a second box. You've got to mark the box, 30% of the sales price, and then you can put NA in most of the other paragraphs. It's just going to be communicating with the other agent that you're sending a referral form, and if your client buys in 2 years, you still want a referral, and you're going to be, staying in touch with the client to see when they start looking at houses. The agreement between brokers. Here's what happens when you get an apartment. When you get a client sign you on an apartment, the apartment is going to need a W-9, not yours, DHS Realty's. That's also on Back Agent under Office, Documents, Quick Resources or Quick Links. It's the very first link. It'll say DHS Referral Form for 2022. To the right it says Send and Share. I'd send it to you so that you can actually keep it on your phone. There's a few things you should keep on your phone, and that's one of them, is DHS Realty's 2022 W-9. You're going to send that to the apartment complex. Then they're going to want an invoice, and you do the invoice on Back Agent. And what you'll do is you'll go to my YouTube page, DHS Realty. You'll go to Playlist, and you'll hit Back Agent, and that will show you how to do invoices for both leases and sales. And you're going to have to get an invoice done, and that's through Back Agent, and send it to the apartment. Intermediary. Again, intermediary means that there's only one broker. And then it depends on whether there's 1 or 2 agents. So if you have an intermediary with only yourself, and that means probably that somebody called on a listing of yours, or you did an open house on your own listing. A buyer walked in and they like you. That means that you're going to have an IBS and a listing agreement signed with the seller. In the listing, it'll already have intermediary authorized because I template that. You're then going to get a buyer rep signed and an IBS with a buyer. That will already have intermediary authorized. Then you will, on paragraph 22, on the right side at the bottom, you'll mark other, and you'll type in that there's an addendum called the intermediary. And then on page 10, you will move everything to the right side. And if it's only one agent and you're working with both the buyer and the seller, everything is moved to the right side on page 10, identical to what's on the left side. So all you'll do is kind of transpose it to the right side and then delete everything on the left side. And on the right side, underneath the broker name, you'll mark a box that says working with buyer and seller as intermediary. You won't put two agents there because you're the only agent. If we're in an intermediary, the right side will always be filled out by itself. The left side will be blank because the left side is filled out with your stuff if there's two brokers. So if there's two brokers, I've already pre-filled the left side on page 10. All you'll do is fill out the right side in equal length. But if there's only one broker, everything on the left will be transposed to the right. You will mark underneath the broker name on the right, intermediary, as buyer and seller. If there's two agents, the whole right side will be filled. You'll be the listing agent or whoever the listing agent is, and the selling, SELLING, will be for the second agent that represents the buyer, because the buyer agent is the selling agent. And if you're both, you don't have to put your stuff twice. All you'll do is put it once. And that means it'll be equal in length on the right side as it was on the left. And just transpose it and then delete everything on the left side, okay? And then you'll need a notice of intermediary. That's in your documents also. And if you're the only agent, it'll pre-fill when you open it, and you'll mark will not. And if you have two agents, you'll open it still, and it'll pre-fill, and in the middle you'll mark will. And then the prospect is the buyer, so you'll put the agent working with the buyer, and then the owner will be whoever the listing agent is. That's it, okay? And then obviously you send everything to me to review. Appraisal waiver, just to dumb it down, paragraph 1 means the buyer will buy the home for whatever's in paragraph 3C of the contract on the first page, no matter what the home appraises for. So the way that we've learned it in our company is that you look at the buyer and go, if the home appraised for $1, would you still want to buy it for $300? Yes, I do. No, then mark paragraph 1. That means if the home appraises for $1 and the sales price is $300, the buyer's bringing $299,999 to closing. Paragraph 2 gives them a waiver where they can back out if the home doesn't appraise for whatever the amount is you put in paragraph 2. So again, hypothetically, a $300,000 sales price, the buyer says they only have $10,000 to make up if the home doesn't appraise, you'd put $290 in paragraph 2. If they said they had $20,000 and the house was contracted at $300, you'd put $280 in paragraph 2. All right, so it's about as easy as I can make it. Contesting taxes. It's a good idea to let your neighborhood know that you'll help them contest taxes, but what you're really going to do is do a CMA for them for free and give it to them. Good luck also is probably what you want to tell them rhetorically, because the bottom line is that it's hard to beat a tax assessment when homes appreciated 20, 25%, or 30 last year. So if you want to help out any neighbors or anybody, you'll go in and do a CMA of their neighborhood and send it to them and tell them that you'll do it electronically. That means you get their email, and that you can always update them on any activity in the subdivision, and that could be a way how you start fostering a relationship with somebody you one day list their home. The W-9. Remember that when you're onboarded, you send me your W-9 and you copy my accountant. But other than that, anytime another broker says they need your W-9, they're talking about DHS Realty. And it's already on back agent under Office, Documents, and Quick Links. Okay? So that's going to be used for all leases. Everybody's going to need a W-9, but it's not yours. It's DHS Realty's. The buyer rep agreement. You know, I've had agents ask me, hey, what if my buyer won't sign it? Well, it's America. And our policy at DHS Realty, which might be different than other brokers, is that we want to continually to advise the buyer they should sign a buyer rep agreement via email. You get a reply, multiple replies back from the buyer that they don't want to move forward. That means you're going to help them as a customer. And I will okay that. I will approve it. And the way I'll approve it is we will download all those emails that the buyer said they replied back they didn't want to sign it, but they still wanted you to help them. And I'll be side by side with you, and we'll make sure it's a smooth transaction. Back agent, customer service. You can Google it. what is Property Base's customer service phone number? What is Back Agent's customer service phone number? It's easy to do. Google is at our fingertips for almost anything in the world, as well as YouTube. So if you have questions about Back Agent, obviously if it's on a fundamental, level where it's a broker issue, I can help. But if not, then get in touch with them by Googling them or going to YouTube. Anytime there's a question about title, what you can do on a property, if a buyer and a seller are married, or buyers are married and they're getting divorced, and how they can sell their home, the best person to contact is going to be the title company. They have an attorney there that represents the title company, but will be free for advice and opinion if it's an issue related to the property that you're either about to list or that you're involved with. So anything having to do with title, how somebody should take title, a buyer's getting divorced, can they sell their home? That's going to be a title question to get the appropriate answer that we can take it to the bank on, okay? And I'm always going to tell you, because I don't try to pretend to be a know-it-all. I want you to get the resources so one day when I'm dead, that you'll know, hey, I don't need Doug for this issue. I know I can call the title company to get an answer on title issues. And that's going to be on 6D, objections. If you have a question, I could probably assist. But again, the title company, ask for the title attorney or the title closer and give them the scenario on paragraph 6D for objections, or how anybody can take title, or when somebody can sell a house if they're getting divorced, or if a buyer bought it and now they're selling it and they bought it single and they're now married. I know those general answers, but you can also always ask the title company, and Truly Title, Roxanne or Navette or Callie can always refer you to the appropriate person. And again, you should have their phone number. If not, we have troubles because they sponsor our company for the last a year and a half, and easily you can find their phone number. It's Truly Title in Plano. Homestead exemption. Look, it's called a homestead exemption because it's your homestead. A synonym to homestead is your primary dwelling, owner occupancy. So anytime you lease out a homestead, you're not going to get the homestead exemption. It's almost a question that's embedded in the answer is embedded in the question. Can you still have a homestead when you lease a house out? I mean, that doesn't make sense. That's like, can you be single when you're married? I mean, you're already married, so you can't be single while you're married. You can only be single if you got divorced. So you can only unclaim your homestead if you divorce from the house and make it a lease property. But it's your homestead if it's your homestead, which is your primary dwelling. In Texas, it's done the day you close. You can file it under a new law. You don't have to wait till January 1st. And it might be a good idea to Google homestead exemptions in Texas and read up on it. Or call the title company, and they'll have some documents they can send you so you can become an expert. Earnest money delivery option. Again, you don't need an option in Texas. These aren't option contracts. These are as-is contracts. So both are delivered 3 days from the effective date, which is on page 9 above the signature. That's why we have to date it. That's always day 0. And 3 days midnight. So if you don't deliver them, then you're out of contract. If you don't deliver the option in 3 days, you don't have an option. If you don't deliver the earnest money in 3 days, the seller can terminate the contract because you have failed to follow through with time is of the essence. So it's not rocket science. Those are questions that just should be pretty much elementary if you have a license. All right, so let's study up on them. Okay, don't text any agent, no matter what you wouldn't text me first. If you think that it's clouding the line over being disrespectful or dishonoring, don't send it. Send it to me first and go, hey, Doug, I was thinking about sending this to the agent. They're jerks. Send it to me first. Get that out to where it's a cathartic release for you, because I'm probably going to tell you to suck it up and be a man or a woman and to do man and women things, not kid things, by sending messages that, say, what a tragedy, just stupid stuff. Sending comments about a seller or a buyer or a tenant or a landlord to anybody is not going to be a winner for you. It can be posted on social media. Remember, the whole goal of real estate is to make the appointment. Make the appointment. When you call me and say that you have a buyer or seller or a tenant or landlord that wants to do something, my first response is going to be set the appointment, and then I'll go with you. Set the appointment, and then we'll start doing the paperwork. Set the appointment. Set the appointment. If you want to get a tattoo, being in real estate, get it on the side of your arm, and it should say set the appointment. Set the appointment. If you read any kind of motivational anything throughout the day, you should always start with your mind saying set the appointment. As you wake up, set the appointment. When you're at the gym, set the appointment. When you go to bed, set the appointment. That's the whole purpose of any sales. Set the appointment. We get in front of them, and that's when we close, okay? So you always got to set the appointment, either to show a house or set up a listing. It's only two things you're ever going to do. Show a house or list it. You're going to be with a buyer or a seller, and that buyer can be a tenant and the seller can be a landlord. You're either going to set the appointment to go to the house or set the appointment to go show the property. That's it. There is no training. You set the appointment. This is a people skill. This is a soft skill. We are selling a product, but we are really the product. The house is just something that's touchable that we're going to go show it, okay? Some people ask me my opinions on a CMA. They send me a property. I'm not going to know. I don't go out to the house with you when you're doing a CMA. And what you should be doing is a CMA, sending it over to the seller or to the buyer, and just say to the seller, you need to probably list it as low as you feel comfortable, where if you wouldn't go $1 lower, that's the price we're at, because you might get it bid up. Rates are going up a little. Market's, not like it was crazy about 18 months ago. So I go as low as you feel comfortable, where you wouldn't go $1 lower. That's a great way to tell a seller. With a buyer, you say, I'd go as high as you feel comfortable, or if you lost it over $1, you wouldn't go $1 higher. And they'll go, well, how will we know? Well, we won't know. In your mind, you've got to say that as a buyer. Hey, Doug, this is as high as I'm willing to go, where if I lost it over $1, I wasn't going to go $1 higher. Boom, you're done. That's how you do it. And everybody understands that. It's so basic on a basic level. All right, last question, and then we're done for Saturday sit down inside of 20 minutes. When you buy your own property, or when you sell your own property, when you list a home, you don't need to put in a listing agreement that you're the agent that's selling it also. It's just known. It's in the contract, paragraph 8. You need to put seller is seller agent, buyer is buyer agent. So you always have to disclose that in paragraph 8, okay? If you yourself are buying or selling, if you yourself have a 10% share in an LLC that's buying or selling, or if you're working with a child, parent, spouse, okay? And that concludes Saturday Sit Down, 18 minutes. Y'all have a great week.